Well, if you've been watching our coverage over the past week, you know that we've been on the ground in Tacloban and elsewhere trying to be as accurate as possible. Accuracy is what we care most about here at CNN, and giving information that might actually help people on the ground and help the relief effort in some way become more efficient. In our reporting, it seems, though, here in the Philippines has become something of a political issue at times. A radio broadcaster named Karina Sanchez has apparently taken issue with some of my reporting. She also is not just a radio broadcaster, she happens to be the wife of the Interior Minister who's overseeing the relief effort on the ground. Ms. Sanchez seems to be under the mistaken impression that I said I saw no presence of the Philippine government on the ground in Tacloban. I never said that. Obviously, I have been on the ground in Tacloban for days, and I've in fact interviewed a very heroic Philippine Navy captain, Captain Santiago, who's going out and helping people. I've seen the work that's being done and the work that isn't being done, perhaps even as importantly. Ms. Sanchez is welcome to go there, and I would urge her to go there. I don't know if she has, but her husband's the Interior Minister. I'm sure she could arrange a flight. Here's the broadcast that I think she thinks I said something that I didn't say in. Here's what I actually said. As for who exactly is in charge of the Philippine side of this operation, that is not really clear. I mean, I'm just surprised that I expected on this day 5. I thought I'd maybe gotten here very late, that things would be well in hand. It does not seem like that. People are desperate. People do not have any place for shelter. It is very difficult for people to get food. Neighbors are helping out neighbors. Water is in short supply. It is a very, very bad situation here. Let's remember, I showed you a clinic several days ago that was at the airport that the doctors there said they didn't have enough food, they didn't have enough water for the hundreds of people they were seeing every single day, that they didn't have enough medical supplies. That's a clinic at the airport. If any clinic in the entire disaster zone should be able to receive aid quickly and easily, it's the clinic at the airport, and they were not getting it. I don't know what the situation is there today. I certainly pray to God that it is a better situation than it was even 2 days ago. The president of the Philippines has also counseled foreign journalists that they should be accurate in their reports, and we certainly appreciate that counsel. Accuracy is what we strive for. I read in the paper today, it's the first time I've been able to read the news, the president also said in a speech that the media should use our role to uplift the spirits of the Filipino people, to find stories of resilience, of hope, of faith, and show the world how strong the Filipino people are. I would actually say that all week long, in every report we have done, we have shown how strong the Filipino people are. The Filipino people, the people of Tacloban and Samar and Cebu and all these places where so many have died, they are strong not just to have survived this storm, but they are strong to have survived the aftermath of this storm. They have survived for a week now, often with very little food, with very little water, with very little medical attention. Can you imagine the strength it takes to be living in a shack, to be sleeping on the streets next to the body of your dead children? Can you imagine that strength? I can't. And I've seen that strength day in and day out here in the Philippines. And we honor them with every broadcast that we do.
Confusion over the death toll on Friday morning. Officials in City Hall on top of the hill behind me showing our producer a whiteboard with the figure of 4,000 for the total of dead in Tacloban city alone. But when pressed on where they got that number, they weren't entirely sure. They couldn't find the woman who'd written it on the board. So confusion really at the heart of central government. I think that gives you a sense of the chaos really in Tacloban, and how hard, of course, it must be for people relying on that government infrastructure to give them food and water amongst the debris and chaos there. But I'm standing in a makeshift morgue here where the bodies are finally brought. This orange truck behind me full of body bags and bodies inside them. They're brought in from the city, that grim task of collecting the corpses citywide finally happening. Then they're brought here. Behind me, these are the bodies who have not been identified. They sit here in the hope that something may tell relatives, a distinguishing mark, who these people are, about 100 of them. Further over this way, the perhaps less complex task, these are bodies who have been identified. They know who they are from perhaps an identification card or some other witness testimony. We've seen one man come in here, he knows his father is amongst these dead. He flew in from Manila, but he also fears his mother may be there as well. real confusion for people about trying to find their most loved ones, confusion over the number of dead in this city. We know that 800 died 2 days ago, the last death toll in the neighbouring town of Pala, so it seems possible the death toll will be large here as well. But it's this place, the makeshift morgue, where people come to find the toughest possible answers. The stench of death here really extraordinarily hard for people, as is the information they slowly learn. Nick Payton-Walsh, CNN, Tacloban, the Philippines.
As far as you see it, how are things going?
It's a slow process to get built up, but once everything is built up, then you can start providing relief from here. This becomes a congestion point. As you've seen, we've been rolling C-130s through here all day. And so our throughput to Tacloban will be good from outlying areas. It's getting it broken down here and then pushed out into the city proper. That's going to take some time. We need trucks. We probably need more forklifts, and we're bringing those things in, but we're also asking for the Philippine government to provide those.
So is that, because up to now that's been up to the Philippine government, and clearly they've been having some organizational issues. Is that something the U.S. is going to start doing more of, actually getting the stuff out to outlying areas, or is that not part of the plan?
Well, I would like to just characterize their effort as it's a capacity issue. And so, I mean, you've got the entire world converging on this tiny little place. They've got about 10 trucks here with the division, the Army division that's located. They're not used to handling 30 trucks. Well, we're gonna give them some assistance.
Clearly, the priority has been get the airport up and running on a 24-hour basis.
Right.
Now that it's going to be, what's the next priority?
We've already brought in like 55 tons of humanitarian supplies, so it runs the gamut. So water, food, shelter, the works. And as a matter of fact, shelter is almost becoming a higher priority in many cases. It's rained enough where people can collect water, but they're exposed to the elements. So we're trying to push that stuff out.
Barbara Starr on my program last night was reporting that she had a conversation with you that you were frustrated at the pace of things. Is that fair to say that it's frustrating?
Getting out here, you see initially there were no services. There's no fuel services, there's no radars here, there were no lights. That's frustrating. But we brought stuff in. The Army Special Forces guys, as you saw, the combat controllers, they set up the runway for daylight operations. We now have lights. I've got Marines that have come in from Japan, and so everything is eventually here. So if I said that to her, it might have been at a peak of frustration.
You know, we found a video online of the neighborhood right next to Renelin's mother's home, and the storm chaser actually filmed the house kind of, blowing away. So we're worried.
My wife's name is Rosa Miguel Talley. My daughter's name is Wilrose Isabel Miguel Talley. I've reviewed every story coming out of Yuan and looked for pictures and whatnot, and I found nothing for proof of life.
I'm searching for my mom, and her name is Lydia Advincula. I am also looking for my sister, my brother-in-law, my niece, and my 2 nephews.
We've tried every means of communication we can. Every database that we can come across, we've been looking for names that are familiar to us, and nothing yet.
It is my father-in-law. He went overseas. He goes there every 6 months to visit family, to make sure everyone's okay, and then he comes back to the States. And all of his kids are very much worried about him.
I'm really, really worried. She lives off of the place where it first hit, on an island outside of the main city. It's called Tacloban.
If anyone has seen my mom and the rest of my family, please contact me as soon as possible. I would love to hear what's going on right now.
She's a little bit lost. She's a little bit lost for words at the moment.
It's very nerve-wracking to know that you can't do anything, but we're very positive. We're gonna get a positive outcome out of this and hope for the best instead of the worst, because if you think for the worst, you're only gonna get sadness.
It's like this every day now. In this overcrowded clinic at Tacloban Airport, there are too many people and not enough supplies.
It's a little bit chaotic because
It looks very chaotic.
Yeah, as you can see, we don't have any medicines, we don't have any supplies. We have IV fluids, but it's running out. And most of the people here doesn't have water and food. That's why they come here. Most of the kids are dehydrated. Most of them are suffering from diarrhea and vomiting.
Dr. Katrina Katabe has been here for 3 days. It feels much longer. What do you need here?
We mostly need food and water. That's the most important supplies that we need for all the people.
So you don't even have enough food and water
for
the sick people coming
in?
More people just keep coming in. Captain Leyland Lowell Abagnal stitches up a man injured in the typhoon. Used bandages lie in a pile on the floor. Nearby, a member of the Philippine military reads names off a list of those who get to be evacuated today. So who gets to be evacuated right away? What makes it someone eligible?
Well, the elderlies, the children that are sick.
For some, the wait is too long. This man died last night. He lies on a gurney at the end of the hall. They have no place else to put him. A mother plays with her child, and in a tiny side room, 3 babies have been born in the last 3 days. It's a very beautiful baby.
It's a boy.
I know, it's very beautiful. A healthy baby boy named Haiyan, named for a storm he will know nothing about.
Not only is the boy's name Haiyan for the storm, his middle name is Daniel, which is the name of the airport, I'm told. So his mother named him after both the storm and the place where he was born. Imagine being born in this place amid this catastrophe.
Joining us now, Brigadier General Paul Kennedy with the United States Marine Corps. He's really in charge of the U.S. relief efforts in the Philippines. There's so many people who are so desperate right now, and it looks like they're not getting what they need. What's going on, General?
Well, it's a serious situation down here. Tacloban, as you know, has made the headlines. It's a stricken city of about 350,000 people. We're surging aid into the airport. Moving it out into the neighborhoods. Some of those neighborhoods are inundated with water. Some of them are almost inaccessible because the roads are so bad. The Philippine government is clearing that. They're getting aid out to their people. We've had an incredible surge of United States aid coming into the area. It's an international effort, but the U.S. sent 2 747s full of humanitarian supplies. They've been offloaded. We pushed them down to Tacloban, and they're being distributed as I speak.
General, do you have confidence that the Philippine government authorities know what they're doing, how to distribute all this aid? Because there are folks in desperate need right now.
Well, they're being given a lot of help across the international relief organizations. United States Agency for International Development is linked at the hip with these folks. And so they've got advisors. We've got the Office of Foreign Disaster Assistance. These guys are experts in the distribution of aid, rapid distribution. So as we're building up stocks, we're passing it down to them, and they have a plan for how to distribute it. It's a matter of capacity at this point. And so this is day 5 of the U.S. effort. We've almost defied the laws of physics and getting to George Washington over here. We've got almost 15 C-130 aircraft. We've got C-17 aircraft on the way. You got heavy lifters. You got trucks. This stuff doesn't just come out of a box. It has to get moved down here. It's a remote location. But it's been, I think, it's a confidence builder for the Philippine government to see this sort of aid coming from the United States and the international community in their hour of need.
We were told, General, that 8 people were killed basically in a stampede at a warehouse, a government warehouse. Police and security were told by eyewitnesses basically stood by as people stormed the building, took 100,000 sacks of rice. Here's the question. Fortunately, the United States military is there on the ground. Are you authorized to deal with these kinds of situations where you see riots unfolding and people getting killed?
Well, the Philippine government has capability and security forces to address their needs. There are pockets where it's going to be tough to get forces out into more remote locations. If there is, in fact, any validity to that story, and I've heard various rumors, the Philippine 8th Division has come down here in force. They've sent brigades across the affected area, and they're restoring law and order. There could be isolated incidents of lawlessness, but as far as I've seen in being down there several times now, flying over the area, I've not seen any evidence of that.
Nick, 600,000 people homeless, no place to go. How concerning is the security situation there when we hear about stampedes of people just to get rice?
Well, certainly, I think people are wrapped up in the fear of lawlessness here in Tacloban. In the city yesterday, I heard stories, fears of sexual assaults, attacks even on children in some ways. No evidence to back that up that we saw. But that's consuming people, I think, a sense of fear of what maybe criminals may be up to, or even some rebel militia groups that are roaming in this particular part of the world. And we encountered some of those fears ourselves when we ventured out from this city of Tacloban south to quite get an idea of the level of devastation.
We drove south, away from Storm Yolanda's epicenter, to answer the question, how far had the destruction spread? It took about 40 kilometers before life breathed easier, but then the storm left other dangers. Police warned us of bandits ahead.
The civilians are being allegedly shot by these rebels.
Are they rebels?
Oh.
Okay. And why are they doing this?
Maybe they are looking for food.
We turned back towards the heart of the chaos.
As we move closer towards the eye of the storm, signs of the devastation begin to grow, and while many of the trees here are left standing, you can see telegraph poles bent at a slight angle, a sign of the sheer ferocity of what passed through here.
They warned us again of bandits at this school, where the smallest are hungry and sick, and where Storm Yolanda was so fantastical in its power, it came straight from Hollywood's own apocalypse.
It's just like a movie, 2012, the Storm Yolanda.
Are you scared?
Yeah, super scared.
The basics, a struggle, queues for what little gas remains. Trees are scattered like matchsticks as you approach the town of Palo. Its 2 church spires standing defiantly, although 800 people died here in this town of 60,000. Some here where waters surged, the winds tearing the back off this house and from their relatives across the river.
But we have an aunt from the one barangay which was flooded, so they're missing, and three grandchildren, including her.
Death has been more dignified in Pala than the bodies left on the streets of neighbouring Tacloban, even though life itself remains a shell of what it was. The mayor had mass graves dug fast and now gives free calls to loved ones, medicine, even bureaucracy.
Most of them died out of the waters. We have survived this far, so I think we can rebuild it.
The job of simply cleaning up so mammoth, healing seems a distant idea.
Now, what we've seen there in that trip was how, in many ways, we leave this city, the impact of the storm lessens, still devastation, but an organised effort that seems to be getting life not back to normal, but at least conscious of where the future could lie. That makes the failure of the government to respond here in the main city just so remarkable. We went through the town twice, in the morning and the afternoon. The same bodies we'd seen earlier still lying in the street. That smell of death, putrid flesh, really hard for people to stomach here if they even staying in the city itself, and an obvious health hazard. So the question now really focusing on the government relief effort. Can they return this enormous city of 275,000 Tacloban city into a place where people can actually live? Or the scene you're seeing behind me, a steady flow of people with suitcases trying to get on any plane that will take them out of here. Is that to continue, and is that really heralding what kind of future there is for this city? Because simply there's not much left to rebuild, Aaron.
In a city where everyone is asking for help, Erland Johannesson is a special case. He runs the Streetlights Orphanage here in Tacloban, and he's looking for food and water.
So we will last for 72 children and staff for the rest of the day.
And then what?
And well, right now everyone is looking. We're organized. Everyone is divided into different departments.
But you're not seeing the organized relief that you need. Is that right?
No, we're not. We're not.
Today, he's responsible for 72 orphans. At the orphanage, the kids are unaware their food security is hanging by a thread. They do what kids do when they don't have to go to school. They play. Erlan is also cheerleader-in-chief, keeping up morale. In fact, these kids are the happiest, most relaxed ones I've seen here, despite a terrifying experience just 5 days ago. On the night of the storm, Alan took 72 children and led them up to the second floor, to this balcony here, where the waves were starting to actually crash over the balcony, and got them onto this roof, where they stayed until the storm had blown through. Everyone here was safe. They're well contaminated by seawater. They now face a new threat, just as serious and just as real. Every day, Erlan and the older children search for supplies.
Plenty of places we can go to, but when we go there, there's nothing there. We're being told, go here, go there, but...
They've collected stores, but it's not much. This is now the most important room in the house, the food store. Cans of sardines, more sardines, we're told. Nothing's labelled here. We believe that's some sort of tomato paste. But most important is water. There is only 1 day of supplies here. There's only one solution to get out of town. Erlan is trying to arrange transport to get them all to safety. For now, though, he has to keep up their spirits, knowing that the crisis facing him and his children is a long way from over.
I immediately text my mom, like, are you okay because typhoon is coming? And she replied to me, like, I'm really scared. The water is really coming in our house. That's the last time I talked to her. It's hard because me, I know that I could survive. I will find a way. But my mom, she's 55 right now, but she also have a heart problem. The picture that I post on the CNN, that was like almost 4 years ago when I visited my mom. And my mom lives with my brother and my nephew. 3 of them live in one place. My other brother, he lives in Dagami, Leyte. And my other brother, Alvin Jr. Piñano, they said that he might be safe, but we don't hear anything from him. And I'm still hoping they're safe because I cannot imagine to find out something bad. Watching all this news, I see people hungry in the street. So when I saw the I report, I immediately go to the website. And then I saw a lot of people posting pictures also. And I'm hoping that one of these people would for them to rescue my family and the rest of the people in that place. So I'm very desperate. I said I'm desperate for the answers. I just need an answer. Is how are they? You know, that's all I need.
We want to go live now to CNN's Anderson Cooper, who is in Tacloban, a town left completely flattened by the storm surge. Anderson, we hear the mayor is urging people there to get out of town as quickly as possible.
And people are certainly heeding that warning. They've been trying to get out, frankly, for 5, now moving into the 6th day since the storm. I mean, I can tell you about 300 feet, 400 feet from where I'm standing, there is already a line of people, and they have been standing all night, many of them standing all day yesterday, just waiting, residents here, just waiting for Philippine military aircraft to come. They come about once or twice a day and get some people on those C-130 planes, get them to Manila, get them to Cebu, or just basically get them anywhere but here. People just are desperate to get out. There is really, in the direction all behind me, Jake, there is really nothing. I mean, the houses are gone, the shacks are gone, people are still looking for food, still desperate for water. Even the people standing in line here at the airport will come up to you with an empty water bottle and ask you if you have any water. Supplies are running low for everybody. And you talked about the aid coming in. It is coming in the last 24 hours, the last 12 hours in particular. There has been a big uptick on it. Brigadier General Kennedy, the Marine General in charge of this operation here at the airport, promised to get the airport up and running on a 24-hour basis. He has done that. Planes have been coming in during the night. There is aid stacked up. I just walked by, pallets and pallets of it from USAID, tarps, thousands of tarps that could be used for people to shelter under these the brutal heat, under the rain that comes in intermittently. But the problem, as you say, is getting it out from this airfield now to the communities, even to communities, you know, a mile away from here, half a mile away from here. There aren't trucks. There's not fuel. We're running out of fuel to even broadcast. It is a very, very dicey situation here, and the bottom line is more needs to come, more logistics, more trucks, more fuel in order to actually get this aid to the people who need it most.
Anderson, is there any indication that the Philippines government knows that the problem is getting all the aid and the tarps that you are talking about that are right near you, that they know that they need to be able to provide soldiers or police or whomever to provide that to the survivors who need it, and that those reinforcements are coming to do that job? Or is everybody just sitting around waiting and wondering when help like that will arrive?
You know, there are hundreds of Philippine police and military here at the airport and elsewhere at roadblocks and such, but you don't see them out going block by block searching for bodies, searching for, you know, I haven't seen any search and rescue operations even in the immediate days after the storm. You know, you think back to the tsunami in Japan back 2 years ago or 3 years ago, within a day there were Japanese defense forces out they didn't have heavy earth-moving equipment. They were just out on foot, walking block by block. You know, they divided up communities. That has not happened here. People are left to their own devices. I was with a mother who was searching for her 6 dead children yesterday. She'd found 3 of them. She'd had to carry their bodies, place them under some sacks, but she was still looking for her 3 other children, her husband. She'd already found his body, and there's just no one to help these people. You know, people here are very resilient. They're used to being abandoned by their government for generations, for decades certainly, and you know, there's not a high expectation on the part of a lot of people here of outside help or governmental help, and that is certainly, their expectations have certainly been met. I think, you know, the government must know what's going on. It's just a question of ability and logistics. There are not the trucks available to get aid out here. That's something certainly the Marines are hoping to work on in the next couple of days, but it's still a very desperate situation.
That's so heartbreaking, Anderson. I know you did an aerial tour of the damage today. You'll be showing that on your show later this evening. What did you see out there? Give us some perspective of just how bad things are in some of these towns.
Yeah, you know, we went out with the Marines in their Osprey aircraft, which have now started to fly, which really allow them to get into some places that others have not been able to get into. So we went to a nearby island, about a 30-minute flight from here, called Samar. You know, again, it's devastation. It's one island after another all along the south that's just destroyed. You know, we landed with a member, a captain from the Philippine Special Forces from the Navy, and you know, he was talking to the people. He was trying to get an assessment of the damage. And the bottom line, the message is more supplies. We need food. We need water. And in these small communities, there's only about, according to this captain, only about 15 or 20% of these communities that have actually been assessed. So there's still a lot we don't know about what's going on in some of these outlying places.
All right, Anderson Cooper in Tacloban, thank you so much. Stay safe, my friend.
It's been 5 days since Super Typhoon Haiyan slammed into the Philippines. But still, after all that time, there's no official death toll, no concerted effort to retrieve the bodies of those who've died. The cleanup in some badly hit areas has barely started, if it started at all. Everywhere you go, there are pleas for help.
Everything is gone. Our houses, everything. There's nothing to eat, there's nothing to drink.
We need more people to help the current situation.
Help is on the way. 250 U.S. service members are on the ground in the Philippines, and 2 more ships are on the way. But right now, there simply isn't enough aid, and what aid there isn't getting out to those who need it most. Day after day, thousands come to Tacloban Airport hoping for a ride out, praying they can escape the devastation
the lack of food and water, the decaying bodies lying on the street. But with 800,000 people displaced, many are without options, while others continue to search for loved ones lost in the storm surge.
The only one is missing is my eldest daughter. I hope she's alive, and we're hoping.
This woman cries for her mother, who's still missing. I'm still here in Tacloban, she says. I'm still alive. Makeshift shelters for those left behind have sprung up all over the area. People sleeping wherever they can, desperate to find a dry, safe spot. People around here just have no place else to go. A lot of them who may have evacuated for the storm, they're now back in what used to be their homes. There's a makeshift shack somebody's constructed over there. They tried to collect all the things they could salvage, but it's not much. In many places, not much is left but rubble, and the sound of pets waiting for owners who may never return. This makeshift coffin has a piece of rock with the name of a baby who's been placed inside. Marion P. Alkane is her name. She was only 1 year and 3 months old. At this hospital in Tacloban, the wounded and sick wait for treatment, though the hospital has no electricity and few supplies.
We are admitting them as much as we can because we cannot refuse them.
It's already too late for this young mother, cradling her dead child in her arms. I'm going crazy, she says. I want to go back home. Home is not an option for her. It's not an option for many in this broken city. You've been in a lot of disasters. What are the challenges here? I mean, obviously UNICEF is focusing on the needs of kids. What are the greatest needs right now?
Well, for UNICEF, the most important thing are that kids are safe, that they're healthy, that they're protected. So health, nutrition, getting them clean water, good sanitation, protection, and we have to consider education also. Schools have been wiped out, and getting kids into child-friendly spaces where they can feel protected, where they can have a chance to play, where they can get a sense of normalcy back in their life after going through such a devastating experience is very important.
So how do you get water into these communities? How is that pipeline?
Well, right now UNICEF is actually flying a plane in with an emergency team that's going to Tacloban. We're hoping to get out water tanks, a water treatment plant. We're partnering with AusAid, which is setting up a mobile hospital clinic.
That'd be awesome.
In Tacloban, and we're providing a water treatment plant that would go with that mobile hospital. So getting these things to the people is very important. We've got to do it as quick as we can. There has been difficulties in accessing many of these communities, but that logjam is breaking up now, and we're getting things to people. But the needs are really great. I mean, in some communities, we could say that everybody needs everything. So the scale of this is immense, and UNICEF is working with other UN agencies, with NGOs, with the government to make things happen. So we're...
Yeah, I mean, this is a situation where, as you said, everything is needed. I mean, the home has been wiped away, the food source has been wiped away, there are no jobs, so people can't earn money. I mean, it's all these things that we never think about in our day-to-day life, but which make up the life of a child, and you're trying to keep them alive.
Yeah, and this is why this is so complex, this emergency. You know, to get kids who don't go to school right now, all classes are suspended, there are no schools. We need to get them into child-friendly spaces where they're protected. It helps the kids, but it also frees up the parents to go and take care of the needs, try and find work, try and get money. So it's very complicated, it's very complex, and everything is interrelated.
UNICEF.org is the website?
UNICEF.org.
Okay, I appreciate what you're doing, Ken. Thank you. We'll
so
continue
much.
to check in with you.